This has been the most difficult and the hardest summit ever in 10 years. The challenge, more than the problem, because I like to have a positive thinking and see the glass half full, is finding every time we start from scratch. Basically, this I've been saying this a few times to anyone asking me about the event. We do it in a different country every year, and ideally for us, we have in the end four countries: Italy, France, Spain, and Portugal. But the thing is that the event has grown over the years, as you know, to a size which is our sweet spot now. We're not really considering growing more than this. Um, w- which means, though, that we need to find the right venue because of the format we have now, which is with the round tables that you know very well. That means we need space, and it's not easy to find a place that is not the usual sterile conference center or flashy hotel, which to me add little value to the event, which is one of the criteria. So not easy.
I'm Matt Landau, and this is Unlocked, the intermission. Today's episode features Antonio Bortolotti, who runs the Vacation Rental World Summit with his wife, Christina. It's become the preeminent event in Europe and the Middle East for vacation rental professionals over the years. I think the reason Antonio and Christina have become so successful is their personal taste and preferences for the more human, emotional side of our style of hospitality. When Antonio's wife Christina survived a health scare just over a year ago, the two returned stronger and more convicted than ever in their purpose to connect people who align with these kinds of values, who align with a vision for a better, clearer, more exciting vacation rental future. In this episode, Antonio and I recount this most extraordinary moment on stage at the end of the Vacation Rental World Summit in Barcelona just a couple weeks ago. We go through some of the sequences that neither of us could have fathomed, along with the consequences of what happened on stage and these shifts in priorities that myself and Antonio, and I'm guessing a lot of you, are going through in life as we evolve. Today's episode is brought to you by Breezeway, a property care and operations platform, and B&B Finder. It's B&B without the fees.
It reminds me of the kind of growing pains that our colleagues, operators, go through as they're building their management company. I mean, they hit these sweet spots and then they hit these ceilings. At some point, they need to deal with new kinds of challenges and new kinds of decision making that didn't get them to this point, right? Entirely new spheres of skills.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like, I know you were really frustrated, but it sounds like just one of these things that you're really feeling out. What are the limits of what we want and what don't we want, and what are we not willing to compromise on?
Yeah, that's a hard one, especially on the compromise side, because you can't please everyone all the time. That's something that I say as well. This is another thing. A measure of success to me is going the extra mile to please or to make as many people as possible happy as most of the time. That's the measure of success for us, because we're down to earth. We know we can't have everyone happy. We'll receive criticism. We'll receive negative feedback. We'll receive also lots of positive feedback. And the numbers we have now for next year, if that is a measure of success, should be actually really on the positive side, because we already have nearly 200 people in, and half the booths gone just a week after the event and a year away from the summit. So that is pretty incredible. Never happened before.
So now that you've got an idea of who Antonio is and what makes him tick, I'd like to fast forward to what was easily one of the most memorable and unpredictable experiences of my professional career. And it starts with understanding Antonio's core stakeholders, the people who attend his conference, many of whom were caught up in unforeseeable political events in the Middle East.
At the summit, there were at least 20, if not more, Israelis expected to come. So my first thought was that to reach out to them to see how they were doing, but personally, like on a genuine level, because I was worried. And I reached out to all of them. One of them never got back to me, and then I discovered just a couple of days before that he was in the army. So has never checked his email any because he was at the front. Um, and and so yes, we developed relationships here. We developed friendships and rapport over 10 years and more than 10 years that I am in this industry. So as I say that the summit is family and is a community, it whoever's been there and you've been there knows what I mean and feels what I mean. So reaching out to Guy and other people there was important for us to know how they were doing first and foremost. And only later, just a couple of days before the event, Guy got back to me saying that if there was no escalation, he was able to join us in Barcelona.
And for me, standing on stage looking at them was, first of all, such a powerful feeling, a new kind of powerful, in the sense that they had the courage not only to, um, several of them were re-enlisted, um, but to defend themselves and then take a break and come and be with us to share what they were going through. That was just like so impactful to me. And as we would learn a little bit later, the same goes for Ali and Reem, who make an entrance into this story in just a little bit. But the kind of presence of people who are going through real, just chaos, the presence to be there, to smile, to um, hug, and just love. It just, you can feel that energy. At least I could feel it from the stage. And there was one moment when I walked down, and Guy had just shared this wonderful initiative that as war broke out, he decided to open up all the homes to Israelis from the South. And him and his business partners did that without the permission of any homeowners or investors. They did it because they felt like it was the right thing to do. And that was kind of the theme of courage throughout this story. They did it because it was the right thing to do, no matter the fallout. And ultimately, as he would share with the audience, they got recognized by the government, who then started funding their initiative and officially recognized in this historic agreement the Israeli Short-Term Rental Alliance. They had never officially been recognized before. And when that happened, and I'm just like holding back the tears on stage, I know you are too, right, Antonio? Because you and I are just total crybabies. I just went down and I had to hug Guy and thank him. And there was just, I couldn't describe it.
Yeah, and the thing is that your session was called unpredictability. So nothing more unpredictable than what happened on stage was really spot on for the title of the session, which was the closing one. And I wanted you to do, I asked you to basically close the event. So I said, if you remember on the call we had weeks before, I said, people normally remember the beginning, something in the middle, and the end of something. So basically, I'm going to give you responsibility because I'm asking you to basically close with um, the last session on stage. And after 2 intense days of learning, networking, fun, so with all this being so unpredictable, um, I think no one could expect what happened. And if you look at it on a bigger sphere, it's really the message that, to me, despite all the criticism that I received in the days following to the event, despite being labeled as politicizing the summit, which is something that quite honestly hurt me a lot, because it was not our intention at all. I don't think the event has been politicized. And I think it's been a narrow mindedness approach of those that are saying this, because they don't see the big picture and the real message of it. Now, to tell everything, what happens is that you did your session, you talked about your story, you talked about what happened to you over the last year. Yeah, this may not resonate with someone in the room, but let's say it, Matt, you and I are, maybe you more than not myself, polarizing people. I mean, some people love you, some people don't like you that much. Same for me, and I do get it. I mean, you can't please everyone all the time, or you can, it's perfectly fine. This is the way you are. This is the way I am, and we live our life. We do our life. But so you got on stage. You talked about your experience last year, this life-changing moment for you. So clearly it was not a session about numbers, data, and things necessarily business oriented or vacation rental oriented. You had two full days of this. It was a different session. And people may like it, people may hate it. um, the You started telling your story, and then you asked me just before getting on stage if you could mention what Guy had done, which is what you just told now to the listeners here in the podcast, which is pretty sensational. Because if you think about it, in times of war, in a moment, regardless of where this is happening and regardless of who the hell is involved in this, Muslims, Jews, whatever, that's not the point. The point is something way bigger than that. It's the message. In a moment of crisis, and we can bring it down to today, with in a more narrow-minded world, more business world, regulations threatening to close our vacation rentals, so our business is at stake. So let's face it, in a moment of criticalities, um, thinking outside of the box, or acting and reacting in a completely new way, can lead to unpredictable new horizons. And the fact that, as you said now, the Israeli government recognize an association. I mean, we know we are in vacation rentals. Maybe in the States is a little different, but still you're facing the same kind of struggles and you're hitting the same walls with the public opinion, with the media that's maneuvered into certain directions to please certain lobbies and make us show as we are the bad guys all the time, where that it really, having something like a government that is recognizing an association. How many countries in the world we are still debating, where there's the hotel lobby on one side, which is perfectly recognized everywhere, but no one recognizes, for example, in Italy, the property manager is not recognized as a category uh, of professional, not in a way that is the same as other categories, and therefore it doesn't fit into certain regulations, doesn't fit into certain parts, and therefore that leads to lots of mess, and that gives us trouble as people. So my idea, my thing was, when you went on stage, you asked me to say that, and I said, sure, of course, say it. The bigger message is that in times of crisis, we can always give the best of ourselves to go beyond our limits for a positive good for everyone. And hopefully, things will turn out for the better than for the worse, which is actually what happened on stage. Because what happened is that after you mentioned, you gave the mic to Guy, and Guy explained what happened there. You continued, and you want to say what happened?
I got back on stage and I was getting ready to close, and a gentleman and a woman approached from the right hand side, and I didn't know who they were.
They were raising their hands like
They were
that,
raising their
standing there
hand,
very
yeah, like
politely.
they were very politely, and I could tell I was processing that this is clearly um, to people who want to tell their story, because that was also the theme of the speech, was how do we tell our story, both as an industry and as businesses, as individuals even. How do we become protagonists? So it was clear to me that they wanted to tell their story in a highly emotional theme, such as the war that is now going on. And for them, I was processing all of this. Israel just got the microphone to share something
So yeah,
effectively.
you
So
you didn't have a
there should be
microphone. Yeah,
there should be another opportunity. But I was also, in hindsight, Antonio, I don't think I was quite courageous enough. I didn't know who these people were. At those closing minutes, I did not hand them. I'd made the decision to finish my speech, which was about a minute to go, and hand the microphone to you when you came on stage, and basically for you to make the decision. That was what went through my head.
yeah. I've already seen them as well as you did, and for me it was pretty simple. I lead with heart everything I do. And the guy came on stage and said very politely and very kindly, said, "I would like to add something to the story. Can I say something as well?" It would have been different if he would have come like, "Hey, let me tell you my thing, this is BS, whatever." I would have said, "No thanks, this is over." But the guy was super kind and super uh, nice. So I said, "Of course you can," and I gave him the microphone. And of course he was telling the other side of the story.
This episode's brought to you by Breezeway. Running a vacation rental business is challenging. Whether you're a manager with hundreds of properties or a host with one, it's only a matter of time before the next ultra urgent owner or guest request comes through. If you want to get ahead of these issues and start feeling proactive about your business, consider Breezeway. Breezeway's property operations software basically coordinates the pillars of the business, like cleaning and maintenance and inspections and communication with your employees to verify that work has been completed, but also communication with guests, guest messaging, and their customizable digital welcome book, so guests have everything they need to know. These are huge in a business that's operationally complex. Also, Breezeway Assist is this team of trained professionals who can provide after-hours communication with guests. It's huge. Breezeway's platform will give you this peace of mind that nothing is falling through the cracks. And I cannot emphasize how valuable that is to one's sanity. In fact, one Breezeway client said that Breezeway helped save their marriage with the amount of time that it saved. So what are you waiting for, listener? Go to breezeway.io/VRMB to sign up for a demo, and be sure to visit their booth this conference season. Mention that you heard about them on this podcast, the Unlocked Intermission Series, and you get the free implementation, $1,000 value, as a gracias. That's breezeway.io/VRMB. And B&B Finder, which is the property listing marketplace built for professional property managers. B&B Finder is free for professional property managers to list on. You can then upgrade your listing to improve visibility. They believe travelers should book directly with property managers, so you own that relationship with the customer. They're held to your terms and your cancellation policy. You also make more money because B&B Finder does not charge the traveler a service fee, nor do they charge property managers a transaction fee. Their goal is to empower professional property managers and to make travel more enjoyable and less expensive for everybody. B&B Finder only works with professional property managers, so they don't work with for rent by owner situations. Now, they're offering a special for listeners of this podcast. They're offering a free upgrade for a period of 6 months if you simply mention the phrase B&B without the fees to any B&B Finder representative or booth at conference season this year. You'll get 6 months of a free upgraded offer. You can also head over to their website, bnbfinder.com/list, and as a reward, your listing will be upgraded from free to bronze or bronze to silver or silver to gold. That upgrade will be live for 6 months. So this is a pretty wonderful opportunity to try out a company whose values are in line with yours. That's bnbfinder.com/list. And to say that the suspense in the room at that moment was so tense, I mean, is an understatement, because I I effectively created a little tinderbox.
An unpredictable
You know,
moment.
I could completely unpredictable, explosive moment that could have gone in any
Yeah,
number of directions, um, and no one knew what Ali was going to share or Reem. No one knew what direction they chose to take it, and in the end, it was that decision by you to lead with your heart, that courage to hand the microphone, to do the right thing, even though there may be a fallout,
yeah,
may be a risk. It ended up being this most beautiful human message about how no one wins in war
yeah.
and how only love will save us. And Antonio, at that moment, I don't think I have ever experienced something like this in my body. It was just, it felt extraordinary. And I think everybody in that room felt that circle come whole in a way.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, what Ali and Reem said was telling their part of the story. So there's civilians and people as well on the other side that have been going through hell as well. So bring the whole picture rather than just the one-sided part that is for the media or for the public opinion. I thought it was the right thing to do, basically. I mean, I didn't know what this guy was going to say. And actually, the nice thing is that when he started to say something, he used a couple of terms that were a little tough, and that steered controversy in the room. So when he sort of like went uh, above the lines, I really liked the fact that the lady that was accompanying him uh, told him to moderate his terms, and took the microphone and basically faced the whole stage saying that a message of peace and not war. And that's how the summit ended, with a big applause. And then right after, Guy and Ali, they just started talking together and they hugged each other. So this, quite frankly, those who criticize this moment, for me, and if they're listening now, I will either invite them not ever to come back to the summit, or if they do, adapt a wider approach. Some of them maybe stay until the end, because some people that criticize this, they haven't even seen your session, just because they don't like you. So they walked out of a room when you started talking, and they told me, they asked me, and I mean, um, uh, I don't have any problem saying this here. They wrote me emails asking me not to invite you ever to the summit because to them you add no value. And I was feeling very upset. I told them that if they decide to come next year, they are more than happy to. I will be more than happy to see them. But if they don't, I'll live with it. And the nice thing about the summit, and these people say, we are your biggest fans. And this is not a kind of fan that I want, not at all. Because it's the wrong kind of person that should be in the room at the Vacation Rental World Summit. Yet again, I'm sorry that people thought this was politicized, because to me, they haven't understood anything. It's bigger than that. And but in the end, the we all learn. um, I'll need to process everything, and I'll probably need some time more to process these things, because I'm still honestly a little hurt. There's so much work going on into organizing an event like this. There is so much work going on into organizing like the round tables, and so sometimes it's just you just need some time to um, accept the fact that if some things don't go well, sometimes um, there will be people that can't see beyond their nose and will complain.
In hindsight, there's a pretty clear before and after big decisions you make with your heart. Some of the relationships end up getting even stronger, and other relationships may end. It's being clear on that decision, knowing you did what you felt was the right thing. Some may call this owning it. That gives great confidence and conviction to an individual in writing their story.
Well, it's always been this way of doing business for me, and that's what led me where I am today, and leading the life that I always wanted, with the person by my side that makes every day special, unique. So it's a decision that some of us take every day or on a daily basis, to be or work one way or another. And I'm happy, because in the end, for the negative feedback or the criticism, it's I wrote you that message that you actually wrote, then reported on your article like last week. I learned that there is some kind of energy that transcends us, and if you're able to see the messages in moments of need, they stand out so clear. Call them angels, call them whatever you believe in, but the moment I go down, 5 tickets come in. Or the moment I go down because I receive like a harsh email about something that went wrong, I received 2 other emails of people that said this has been the most amazing event they've ever been in their life. And there's sort of like um, uh, common thing that attendees who come to me at the end of the event say year after year, which warms my heart all the time and pays back for all the work and the energy that we put into this. And that is, they say something like, it's a first time for the first timers. They say, it's the first time I come to the RWS, and I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And then they say, things like, I've been in like the event business, I've organized things for like thousands of people, so I know what you're going through. But really, the energy in the room, the vibe, the people, the quality of the people, the quality of the lectures on stage is unparalleled. And this is the best conference I've been to in my life. And this is, to me, it rewards me of all the nights up scratching my head and hitting my head against the wall trying to find a solution to problem A, and how do we fix problem B, and how do we think outside the box.
And tell us about the conference venue.
The summit will be held again in Portugal at the Alfândega do Porto, which is the old customs of Porto, which you have seen because you've been there last year. So it's a pretty spectacular place. One of the criteria for the summit, we have a few criterias every year. It must be done in a place you would go to regardless of the event. So it must be a beautiful city, somewhere that has an attractiveness in terms of hospitality and tourism. So you would go to as a destination because it's just beautiful. The venue plays a major role as well. So I want the summit to be in venues that are incredible, fantastic, that have an atmosphere that means something, and so it's really hard to find them as well because there's not that many around.
The last event you hosted in Porto was absolutely stunning. The food there is just like unfairly good. Like, no matter where you live, the food in Portugal is probably better. Although, sorry, Antonio, probably Italian style.
Yeah, I was gonna say from an American point of view, actually.
Anywhere, yeah. If you're an American, anywhere else you live, it's food's better. It was an amazing venue as well. So, where do people get tickets?
They go to vacationrentalworldsummit.com. So they'll see clearly like buttons to register for the event. Right now we are on early bird. Of course, we're almost a year away. So we are on discount at 40% off regular price, which means regular price is $497. Right now we're at $297 to register for the event, and we've got nearly 200 people in already, so we are quite happy about it.
Today's interview had me feeling some new things, and perhaps it had you feeling something new too. Maybe suspense, or pride, or confusion, or comfort, or anger, or hope. If you found yourself feeling anything new, know that this is the heartbeat of hospitality. Making someone feel is also the outcome of a successful story. This is Antonio and his event in a nutshell for me. Boldly and respectfully leading with his emotions, with love. In a world of unpredictability, this is an incredible compass Antonio and Christina uses, but really that we can all use to navigate with. It certainly makes for a more memorable story.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, a new way of thinking about our growth, and are attending any vacation rental conferences coming up this season, I know our sponsors would love to meet you. So much that they've arranged a special offer for anybody who stops by their booths. Yes, if you stop by the Breezeway booth or the B&B Finder booth, or if you speak with any of those representatives this coming conference season, let them know you heard this podcast, and the special offer is yours.